Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Okay, so now let's learn about multiplication of integers. Multiplication of a positive and a negative integer. Okay, let us consider minus 5 and minus 5. We are adding the same integer. You see, minus 5 is the integer, plus addition is the operation that has been performed here. So we are adding the same integer 3 times. Minus 5 and minus 5. What do we get? Minus 15. How? Minus 5 and minus 5. So first of all, you will go to minus 5 from 0, and then from minus 5 again 5 steps back, and then again 5 steps back, that means to the left side, which makes the answer to be minus 15. As we can see here in the number line from 0, you go first 5 steps back, that is minus 5, then again 5 steps back because it is minus 5, then minus 10, and again 5 steps back. We are doing subtraction, minus 5. Okay, so plus minus becomes minus, and minus 5, that means if you are adding minus 5, you are going towards the left side. You are making the number lesser every time, so you will be going to left side for the less number. So it is minus 15, as you can see. Also, we can write this one as, what we are doing, we are adding minus 5 how many times? 3 times. If I multiply it with 3, will I get minus 15, the same answer? Yes. Let's just apply the same thing to this one. Minus 4, minus 4, minus 4, minus 4 and minus 4. How many times? 5 times minus 4 is added. If we do 5 times of minus 4, what is the answer? Minus 20. Similarly, on the number line, you can see, you will go first minus 4, then again minus 4, that will be minus 8, then minus 12, minus 16 and minus 20, right? Because every time, 5 times you are going 4 steps back. So you will be reaching to minus 20, right? Let's figure out this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what will you do actually on number line? If this is the number line, suppose, just assume it. So if this is 3, first of all you will go to minus 3, then you will go to minus 6, then again you will go to minus 9, and then at last you will go to minus 12. So what is actually happening? 4 times minus 3 is added. So 4 times of minus 3 is minus 12. You see, we get the same answer. Similarly, when we will be doing this, we are going 7 steps back. That means 7 steps towards the left 3 times. So we'll reach to minus 21, and 3 into 7 is minus, 3 into minus 7 is minus 21. Right? You understand this one? Okay. One more observation we can see here. When we multiply a positive and a negative integer, we are always getting the answer as a negative integer. Let's solve it now. 4 into minus 8. We will get the answer as negative, and 8 into 4 is 32. Similarly, 6 into 5 is 30, so we will get minus 30. 3 into minus 7, that is minus 21. Right? Or we can just do what? We can take negative outside and can multiply this, and we can write the answer minus 21 here. Similarly, 2 into minus 9 will give us minus 2 into 9, that is minus 18. Like this we can write up. Here also you could write 4 and 8, you can multiply, and then you can just mention negative sign here. So what we are actually doing, we just multiply the whole numbers which are given to us. We just multiply 4 and 8 irrespective of the negative sign, and at last we place the negative sign whenever we are multiplying a positive and a negative integer. Okay, so here 4 into minus 8, 8 into minus 2, we have to do it using the number line. Okay, these also we can easily try with number lines. You will be going 8 steps back 4 times, so you will reach to minus 32. Okay, so 4 into minus 8, that means it is like this, minus 8, then minus 8, then minus 8 and then minus 8. Like this, we can write like this. Okay, this means the same thing. If we add minus 8 4 times, or we multiply minus 8 with 4, 4 times means the multiplication. If we multiply minus 8 with 4, we will get the same answer. So when we do it using the number line, suppose this is a number line, I have taken 1, okay, and this is 0, and this is minus 8, then this is minus 16, minus 24, minus 32 at the gap of 8. So first you will go 8 steps back, minus 8, again 8 steps back, minus 16, again 8 steps back, minus 24, again 8 steps back, you will reach to minus 32. And this is 4 into minus 8, we will multiply 4 and 8, that gives us 32, and we'll put a negative sign in front of the number. This is how we multiply a positive and a negative integer. I hope this makes sense. So you can do it using number line, and you can also write this as this, and we can easily do them, right? So you can try out the others also on the number line. I hope so. Okay, now these are there and we have to just try them, we have to find them. Let's try to find out. Now we know a rule that whenever we are going to multiply a positive and a negative integer, we will put a negative sign and we will multiply these two first. Similarly, in the second we will put the negative sign outside and we will multiply these two. This is first, this is second, and this is the third part. Okay. So in the third part also I'll put a negative sign outside and 7 into 22. This is how we are going to multiply them. So when we multiply 19 with 6, we get 114, and we have a negative sign outside. We'll put that. Don't forget to place this negative sign. Then 12 into 33, the multiplication of these two will be 384 students, and you have to place a negative sign outside. Now 7 and 22, 7 2s are 14, and then we get 15, so it is minus 154. So when you multiply 7 and 22, you will get 154, but when we are multiplying a positive and a negative integer, the answer is going to be negative. We have seen it using a number line, we have seen it using this concept of multiplication. So we are going to get a negative sign always in the multiplication of a positive and a negative integer. Okay. Okay, so now we are going to observe some of the things, and using patterns we'll slowly learn the multiplication. Okay, just see here, 3 into 5 gives us 15. So what we are doing is, you observe this 5 is same. This we have kept intact. This is exactly same in every step. Here what we are doing, first we are multiplying with 3. What do we get? 15. Now when we multiply with 2, 1 I have decreased, so I get 10. 10 is nothing but 15 minus 5. 1 5 is made less, because 3 times 5 means 5 plus 5 plus 5, and 2 times 5 means 5 plus 5. That means 1 5 is excluded, students, from it. Okay, now again 1 into 5 will be 5. Again I have reduced 1, so 1 5 is reduced. So what we are getting? 5. 5 is nothing but 10 minus 5. So from the previous number you are getting 5 as this subtracted from it. Same here. Now we have 0 into 5, which gives us 0, and 0 we will get when we subtract 5 from 5. So from here again we have subtracted 5, if you observe. Now minus 1 into 5, which is, now the number previously was 0, again you will subtract 5, so what you will get? Minus 5. Then minus 2 into 5, minus 5 and minus 5, right, which is minus 10. So minus 10, how will you get? That from minus 5 again you have subtracted 5. So you got minus 10 as the answer. Now minus 3 into 5, the previous number was minus 10 and we are going to subtract 5 from it. So we'll get minus 15. So what do you observe? Every time 5 is subtracted. Also, thing to notice here is, when you multiply to positive integer, the answer is always positive. If you see, when you multiply it with 0, we get the answer is 0, neither positive nor negative. Now you see here, this one is a negative integer and this one is a positive integer. When we are multiplying, what is the answer? A negative integer, right? The pattern is understood? Okay, 3 into minus 5 is minus 15, which can also be written as minus 3 into 5 or 3 into minus 5. So it does not make any difference with which the negative sign is there, whether with the smaller number or the greater number. We are always going to get the answer as a negative integer when we multiply a negative and a positive integer. The answer is always going to be negative. You need to keep this in mind that whenever you multiply a negative and a positive number, irrespective of with which the negative sign is, with the lesser number, with the greater number, okay, you are always going to get the negative answer. Yes, through the number line, through the pattern, through the concept of multiplication, we've understood it now. So what we can say, while multiplying a positive integer and a negative integer, we multiply them as whole numbers and put a minus sign before the product. This is what we have done. We thus get a negative integer. The answer will always be a negative integer. So this is the result that we can say after doing all of these things. Now we have to find these out. So I am going to just give you hints about how to solve these. First one, 15 and minus 16. So what is the result that we have learnt? What we will do? We will multiply 15 and 16, and whatever the answer will come, we'll put a negative sign in front of it. Similarly here we will multiply 21 and 32, and whatever the product will be there, we will put a negative sign in front of it. Okay. Similarly here 42 and 12 you will multiply and you will put a negative sign in front of the product. Here also 55 and 15 will be multiplied and you are going to get the negative product. Here 25 and minus 21, or you do minus 25 and 21, you are going to get the same answer. Yes, see, 25 and minus 21, which can also be written as 25 into 21, and there will be a negative sign in front of the product. Same here it will happen, minus 25 and 21 is there, so we will put the negative sign out, and 25 and 21 will multiply them as the whole numbers, and in front of the product we will put a negative sign. You see, the product is always going to be same, right? Similarly here you can see it is exactly same as this part. We can multiply them and put a negative sign. So it does not make any difference with which number the negative sign is there in the multiplication of two integers. Whether the greater or the smaller number, it does not make any difference. You are always going to get a negative answer in the multiplication of integers. So for any two positive integers, a and b, we can say if we multiply a and we take negative of b, or we do negative of a and b, we are always going to get minus a cross b. So what we are trying to say, whether the negative sign is with b or with a, we are going to get the product as minus of a cross b. That's that you need to learn. Okay, now observe this pattern, minus 3 into 4. Now you see what is constant here, what is not changing, minus 3. In every stage you will see it is minus 3. Okay. Now first of all we have written 4. That means minus 3 is multiplied 4 times, or we can say minus 3 is added 4 times. So minus 3, then minus 6, then minus 9, and then minus 12. Okay, so like this you will be going on to number line. So this is what is given to us, it is minus 12. Now minus 3 into 3 is minus 9. How do we get minus 9 from minus 12? If I subtract minus 3, I will get minus 9. Similarly, minus 3 into 2 is, students, minus 6. And minus 6, how do we get from this minus 9? Again what we are doing? What we did in the previous stage, we subtracted minus 3. Here also we will subtract minus 3. So every time we are subtracting minus 3, if you observe, then we have here minus 3. Minus 3 into 1 is minus 3. How do we get minus 3? From minus 6, we subtract minus 3, we get minus 3. Now minus 3 into 0, how do we get 0? From minus 3, again we are subtracting minus 3, we get 0. So now minus 3 into minus 1 is nothing but what we are not sure of. When there are two negative integers, what will be the answer? But we know that whatever the answer we are getting from it, we are going to subtract what? We are going to subtract minus 3, and the answer is 3. Here in the next case we have minus 3 and minus 2. So from this we will subtract minus 3, and that gives us 3 plus 3, that is 6. So what do you observe here in the last two steps, where we are getting both the integers as negative? This we have discussed. When one of the integer is negative and when one is positive, we are going to get the negative answer, and when we multiply it with 0, We get 0 as the answer. But what if both are negative? You see, in the last two, we have got the answer as positive integer. We have got it as 3 and 6, which are positive. So that means when we multiply two negative integers, we multiply only the whole numbers 3 and 1, that gives us 3. Negative in multiplication becomes positive, right? Whenever you multiply two negative integers, the answer is always going to be a positive one. You multiply the two numbers, you can call them as whole numbers, and just forget about the signs. You don't have to take care of the signs. If both are negative, you are going to get the answer as a positive integer. Okay, now based on this observation, we have to complete this. Minus 3 and minus 3, what we will get? 3 and 3 I will multiply, minus and minus will become plus. So I'll get just 9 as the answer. Similarly, when we multiply minus 3 and minus 4, we are going to get the positive answer. We just have to multiply 3 and 4, that gives us 12. Now we have to observe these products and we have to fill up these blanks. Okay, so minus 4 and 4, we know it will be minus 16. Minus 4 and 3, now here minus 4 is fixed, as in the previous case you saw that this one minus 3 was fixed, here minus 4 is fixed. So now 4, then we multiply it with 3, we get minus 12. Minus 12 is what? When we subtract, just see, minus 16 is there. What we do? We are adding 4 into it and we get minus 12. Right? So every time we will add 4, you will observe this. See, minus 4 and 2 is minus 8. How do we get minus 8? When in minus 12, I'll add 4, I'll get what? Minus 8. Or what can I say? From minus 12, I will subtract minus 4. Yeah, this means the same thing. We are adding 4. In the previous case also, see students, we were doing this. Minus and minus is plus here. And here we are directly writing the plus. So next, minus 4 into 1 is minus 4. And that we get how? How do we get it? Minus 8 plus 4. Right? In this, I'll just subtract minus 4, that is plus 4 actually. I mean to say minus 8 minus of minus 4. This we are doing actually. The next one is 0 only. How do we get 0? When in minus 4 we add 4. Right? Next one is minus 4 and minus 1. So students, the answer is 0, and in 0 what we will do? We will add 4. What we will get? 4. Minus 4 and minus 2. So here the answer is 4. What we will do? We will again add 4 into it. According to the pattern, if we go, the answer would be 8. And in the next one, in 8 we will add 4. So we will get 12 as the answer, which is a positive number. So you see, these all are the numbers, these all are the product of two negative integers, and in all of them students, we are getting the answer as a positive integer. So whenever we multiply two negative integers, what we are going to get the answer as a positive integer. We can observe here this pattern. Minus 3 into minus 1 is 3, that is nothing but 3 into 1. So what we are doing actually, negative sign is ignored when we multiply the two negative integers. So again, this will be multiplied 3 and 2, that gives us 6, 3 and 3 gives us 9, 4 and 1 gives us 4, 4 and 2 will give us 8, and we will write here 4 into 3, that will give us 12. So what we can say? Observing these products, we can say that product of two negative integers is a positive integer always. We multiply the two negative integers as whole numbers and we put a positive sign before the product. Also, if we are not putting any sign, then we by default take it as positive. Suppose I write 8, it is considered as a positive integer. To show the negative, we have to mention negative. But to show it as a positive integer, it is not required to mention this plus 8. If you don't write or you write, it is considered as a positive integer. So what we can say, for two positive integers a and b, and we take negative of a, negative of b, we multiply, the answer is always a cross b. That's it, the positive answer. Okay, shall we try this? So we have minus 31 into minus 100. So what we will do? we will just multiply 31 and 100 and we will get 3100. Both are negative. Now 25 and 72, minus 25 and minus 72. So we'll just multiply 25 and 72. Similarly, we will get minus 83 and minus 28 as 83 into 28. So you just have to multiply these and you will be getting your answers. That's it you need to do when you multiply two negative integers. The most important thing is to take care here. The answer is always going to be a positive integer. Okay, so here is a game that I want you all to play along with your classmates or your siblings, whosoever is there with you. So what you will take a board, okay, and the board should have the marking from minus 104 to 104. These should be the marking. I'll show you the figure where it is. So here you can see 104 is there here, and you see minus 104 as here. So starting with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we have gone to positive 104, and similarly here going down in this direction we are going to get minus 104. So this kind of board you should take, and you should write 104 and minus 104, all the numbers between them. Okay. The second thing is you have to take a bag that contains 2 blue and 2 red marbles. So suppose these are the blue ones, okay, and these are the red marbles. So 2 blue and 2 red marbles you should take, and number of dots on the blue dice, okay, indicate positive. So on this blue, if you are getting 2, that will be considered as plus 2. Okay, any of them, suppose on this you get 2, on this you get 4, so it will be plus 4. But what is happening? The number of dots on red dice, what does this indicate? Negative numbers. That means if you are getting 3 here, you will consider it as minus 3. You get minus 6, you're getting 6 dots, that means minus 6 is the number. Are you getting what you need to do? You have to take a board, mark these numbers, then you need to take a bag, and that you are going to place 2 blue and 2 red marbles, or we say the dice. Okay, and on the dice there will be number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So on the blue marble, whatever the number will come, that will show a positive integer, and whichever number will come on the red marble, you have to take it as a negative one. Right, now every player will place his or her counter at 0. You have to start from where? 0. Each player will take out 2 dice at a time. So without looking, you just have to pick up 2 dice in your hand and you have to just throw them. So when you do that, there will be numbers coming up. So after every throw, you have to multiply the numbers marked on the dice. So whatever the number you are getting on the dice, you have to multiply them. Okay. If the product is a positive integer, if you get the answer as positive, then the player will move his counter towards 104. Whatever the product you get, those many steps towards 104 you will move. If you get the answer as a negative one, then towards 104 minus 104 you have to move. Okay, the player who reaches either minus 104 or 104 first, that will be considered as the winner. So the guidelines are clear now, and the board I can show you, this should be the board that you take up. Right, so you can take up any cardboard and then write these numbers, and then you can take up 4 dice and play this game. It is quite interesting, and you will get a very, very good practice of multiplication through this. Okay, now we are going to do it. We are going to do product of 3 or more negative integers. So let us observe these examples. The first one, minus 4 and minus 3, you see the answer would be a positive integer. We have already learnt it. So minus 4 and minus 3, when we multiply these, see, okay, we get the answer as a positive one. Now we know that we have to multiply it with minus 2 as well. So when we multiply a positive and negative, the answer is going to be negative. So it is minus 24. To observe one thing, here the number of negative sign is even, and here the number of negative sign is odd, as we can see. Now here again 1, 2, 3, 4, again even odd numbers, even negative signs we have. Let's multiply. First of all, I'll multiply these two and I'll multiply these two, or you could do either way. So first of all 4 and 3 I'll multiply, that will give me plus 12, and minus 2 and 1 minus 1 will also give me 2, so 12 into 2 is 24. I am going to get a positive answer, that is 24, like this. Minus 4 and minus 3 if I do, that gives me 12. Negative integers multiplication give me a positive answer. Negative 2 and negative 1, it will give me 2. When I multiply these two, what is the product? That is 24, plus 24. Here again 4 3 and 2 1, so 4 3s are plus 12 and 2 into 1 is 2, 12 into 2 is 24, 24 into minus 5 is minus 120, and here we see there are 5 negative signs. So do you observe something? Whenever we have even number of negative sign, the answer is always positive, and whenever we have odd number of negative sign, the answer is always negative. In this case, this has happened, right? Okay, so we observe that product of 2 negative integers is a positive integer, product of 3 negative is negative, product of 4 negative is positive. One special case that you need to observe here, see here, 2 negatives and 1 into 1 is always 1. So we are always going to get 1 as the answer with a positive or a negative sign. Here they are odd, negative we will get. Here they are even, plus we will get. Again they are odd, so negative. This means if the integer minus 1 is multiplied even number of times, the product is plus 1. And if this is multiplied odd number of times, then the product will be minus 1. Okay, so we can check up by making pairs of minus 1 in the statement. So in the product, that will be very helpful, like this. So just see minus 4 and minus 3 and minus 2. Suppose we have this. So what we can do, we can write it as, see, this can be written as 4 into minus 1. Then minus 3 also can be written as 3 into minus 1. And 2 can also be written as 2 into minus 1. So 4 into 3 into 2 we can multiply, and minus 1 into minus 1 into minus 1. Now you have seen that minus 1 is multiplied odd number of times. We are multiplying minus 1 3 times. So the answer would be negative, and 4 3s are 12, 12 2s are 24. The answer would be minus 24. Make sense? So whenever you get negative sign even number of times in the product, the answer will be positive, and when you get negative sign odd number of times in the product of integers, then the answer is going to be negative. So if the number of negative integers in a product is even, then the product is a positive integer, and if the negative integer, number of negative integer is odd, then the product is a negative integer. This I wanted you to observe. I hope this makes sense and it is clear. Okay, so we have some questions to do. Let's figure them out. The product minus 9, minus 5, minus 6 and minus 3 is positive, whereas this product is negative. Why? Because see here, how many negative integers are there? 4. That means even number of negative integers. That's why it is positive. And here we have 3 negative integers. That means the number of negative integers is odd. We have 3. So it is negative. What will be the sign of the product if we multiply together 8 negative integers and 3 positive integers? Okay, positive, leave them. 8 negative. Okay, that means there are even number of negative integers. So we are going to get a positive answer. It will be positive. 5 negative. So when we hear 5 negative, that means odd number of negative integers. So it is going to be negative product. Minus 1 12 times, that means we are multiplying it even number of times, positive. Okay. Minus 1 2m times, m is a natural number, that means we are multiplying minus 1 even number of times, 2m. M can be any number, it is a multiple of 2. So what we will say? It will also be positive. Clear?
So the first property is closure under multiplication. Focus on the statements and see the inference, whether the product comes out to be, when we multiply any two integer, whether it is positive, whether it is negative, one positive, one negative, both are negative, both are positive. What is the answer that we are getting? Are we always getting an integer? Let's focus and find out. In the first one, as you can see, minus 20 and minus 5, we are multiplying them. So Minus 20 is what? An integer. Minus 5 is also an integer. And we see the negative sign is how many times? Odd number of times, even number of times. We see there are two negative signs, right? That means even. So answer is going to be positive. So we'll just multiply 20 and 5 as whole numbers. So 20 into 5 gives us 100. 100 is an integer? Yes. So written here, product is an integer. Here also when we multiply 15 and 17, the answer is 255, and we are putting a negative sign because here the negative sign is just once, 15. So it is odd number of time. Answer is coming to be negative. Is this an integer? Yes, it is an integer. Now going to the next one, minus 30 and 12. We can easily multiply. 12 into 3 is 36. We get the answer as minus 360. Plus and minus, we have already learned when one of the integer is negative and one is positive, what is the answer that we get? It is negative. Is this an integer? Yes. So what is the inference that we come out with? It is integer. The next one is 15 into 23. Minus 15 and minus 23. So negative would be positive. And 15 and 23 you multiply, you are going to get 345 as the answer. Is this an integer, students? Yes, this is an integer. So we'll write it is an integer. The next one is minus 14 and minus 13. Again negative sign is coming two times, that is even number of times. So multiplying them, we will be getting the answer as 182 of plus or positive. So is this an integer? Yes, this is an integer. The last one, 12 into minus 30. So we can multiply, again negative sign will come, and 12 into 30 is 360. Is this an integer? Yes, this is an integer. So what is the inference that we come to? Every time whenever we are going to multiply two positive integers, two negative integers, one positive, one negative, or the first one positive, the second one negative, the first one negative, the second one positive. So whenever we are going to do this, we are always going to get what? The answer as an integer. So multiplication is closure under multiplication. So what we can say? A cross B or A multiplied with B is an integer for all integers A and B. Let it be any integer.